Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to do a little demonstration of how you can optimize your chosen progression from whatever software, Easy Keys, Scalar, wherever you bring it or get it from, and make it sound the best, construct the notes of the chords in a way that is going to optimize whatever instrument you choose for it. And it makes a big difference in the decisions you make. And so first I'm going to show, how bad it can sound when you don't make good decisions and you just may grab some progression and just slap on any instrument and you'll get suboptimal. And then how you can make it really sing and worth your time and effort. So let's just play this. I got Omnisphere, and I chose it because it's playing an old school string, and we're using strings to demo this because it just shows it off in the best way. So Omnisphere, older preset, no divisi, and you get what you expect. So let's play this. And it is what you would think, but something like this could be used for a pop song, or it has its place when you want every note being played by every member of that string quartet or chamber, whatever. So it has its place, but not typically what we want for more realistic orchestral or modern music. So let's turn this off, and we can delete this MIDI. Go back to the beginning. Let's go up to the more modern situation or realistic. And we see here we have a 4-chord progression, just a very standard run-of-the-mill. But they're in triads and 3 notes, and they're closed, meaning they're the closest you can get those notes together. With it still being, like in this case, an A minor. And yeah, it's not going to sound the best, but we do have I consider one of the better VSTs to play it, which is fully divisi, meaning if I turn this off now, you can say that's, what the bass will play, that's what the cellos, they will only hear those notes in the right ranges and play those. You're not going to have violin notes being played by the cello or the bass. It's done in a more realistic, divided, divisi way. All right. So we're starting with a better sample library, but we still have very basic chords. You may get this idea from any one of those scalar, or even though scalar, these chords would be set up nicer. But I want to show you the reason why sometimes wherever you get your chord progression from, you listen to it there inside that specific program and it sounds great. You bring it into your project and it's like crapola. Why? Why does that happen and how can we avoid that? Let's take a look. Let's play this so you know what's playing what instrument. It's basically an A minor scale. Okay, we've all heard that before, but let's start to work on it really quickly and make this really shine for our chosen instrument, meaning the elite strings in this case. First of all, what's wrong is, like I mentioned, they're closed chords and there's no voice leading between the chords except for these notes here, meaning the note from this chord is moving nicely, transitioning into this same note in this chord. Little bit of voice lead in there, but we can make that a lot better. Now, you can have a minor, in this case A minor, and open it up, and you don't have to have the notes of that chord just stay at A2 and not, you could have an A3, and let's do that. So let's move that up an octave, and boom, we have voice leading here. And it's still an A minor, except it's over C now, and Cubase shows that. See up here? So it's still an A minor, so that's great. We haven't ruined our little story with our chords. It's still, everything is making sense. A little graphical glitch up there. But now we have better voice leading. Let's see if we can do even better. Let's move the C up, and sure enough, now we got some leading into there. And let's listen to it, and there's a few other things we might do. Now, right there, some people would say, no, I'm good with that. Let's move on to the next instrument and the next part of the song. But you can do a lot more things to get the most out of this instrument, and that's kind of what this is about. Choosing your chord progression, but maximizing your chord structure and to get the most out of it. So there's a lot more we can do. Let's, first of all, there's a lot of tools to help us. So if you're not a major in music, like I certainly am not, any tools you can use to help you makes it a lot easier and faster to get what you want. Go up to the chord track. Cubase has a chord track, and I believe Logic probably does, and Project One does, and so yeah. Let's write in with the draw tool. Let's go 4 chords. This is going to help us. So we know what the chords are. I'll double click, and we know this is an A and we want it to be a minor. All right, and let's go to the next one, and we want it to be an F major. That's what it is. And to the next one, C major, and the next one, G major. Right, so we're just setting up our helpers here. And for just the sake of, these notes are showing up green now because this segment is colored green. So I'm going to turn this so you can clearly see what's going on here. Let's turn it to orange, and you'll see that these indeed change to orange. So there's no helping here. It's just these notes take on the color of this segment up here. But we want to have helpers in our grid system so we can move quickly and get all kinds of ideas. So Cubase has a way to change it from the part color to the chord track colors. And now you see them all green, and you're saying, okay, that's great, but who cares about if they all change color? And I've done videos on this before, but basically when you're in the scale and in the scale notes of that chord, these will show up green. If I move out, if I take one note and move it up, it's red, which means it's not in the scale or the note of the chord. So it's red, meaning, and there are times when you want that for cluster effects, for bringing disharmony, for tension, suspense. You want cluster notes that it would be red in this case, or blue. And if I move it up again, now it'll turn blue. And that's saying that, well, it's not one of the notes of the chord, but it's in that scale, and a close scale. And so that means that it might work. Okay, so that's, now we have helpers. So when we move our notes around, we're getting a better idea of what's going on. Safe, you know, at least, safe as far as giving us what we want, letting us being able to test out things. It doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be a better note for the situation, but it allows you to move much quicker. All right, so right away, let's take this and go back up to what we had. So that's an F major. Right here, we can bring this down, get back to where we were as a starting point. So we moved that up, we got that happening here, we got that happening there. We still only have, this is still a closed chord. This is a little bit more open. And strings love open chords, especially in the low end. Because low notes, the harmonics build up, just like if you're listening to music with a big bass bottom end. a car drives by playing some low bass music, you just hear the boom, boom, the boom, boom, because that bass is built up and it's booming through the walls, through the car. It's moving through structures, and that's what low energy does. High energy, structure will knock those high notes down. So you don't want a bunch of low notes close together in your low range, meaning your C1, C2 range. You wouldn't want to have, you wouldn't want to do it like this. And let's just to prove that it's not the note quality, but it's just the harmonics that are building up. So I want to get them as close as possible. And there's a better way to show this. I want to show this in a better way. So let me get out of that. There's something that demonstrates it even better. So right now, we moved this. So let's take that back down. So we have a closed A minor chord. And let's move it up. And let's just listen to it. So remember how this sounds. You're hearing all the higher instruments in the strings. You're not hearing the cello and the bass, which is fine. But if we go down below two octaves, so now we're down in the register of the bass and the, in fact, can we go down even lower? Let's take it even lower. Let's just demo this out properly here. Okay, so now let's listen to the low end. Very muddy. Very, very muddy. Let's fix that with one simple thing. Simply don't keep those notes all bundled up down there. Let's move it up. And we're still in the A major system, A major over C. But now you're going to hear it sound way better. And that's because now you're hearing the bass, you're hearing the cello, the cello, and maybe viola. I don't know if it goes down to E2, maybe not. But you're hearing the instruments a lot clearer because they have space to breathe and you can hear them. So keep that in mind when you're trying to, if you do drag in a chord progression and it's not sounding right for your particular instrument, this could be one of the big reasons why. You have too many low notes clustered together in an instrument that doesn't like that. Strings, for example. Some instruments like notes that are closer, higher up for certain instruments. Like if you have punchy brass instruments, they don't mind so much if you have higher notes close together. And but a lot of instruments don't like notes low down that are close together. It builds up harmonics and a bunch of mess down there. So avoid that. Now let's try something else here. Let's bring this back up 2 octaves. So we're back up to where we were octave-wise or register-wise. And let's listen to it in the higher. And it'll be even clearer. It'll be the higher strings, but clear. So yeah, now you don't want the notes too far apart because then these notes won't, this will only be played by the violin, that will only be played by viola or whatever. So just keep that in mind. Your note placement matters, or structure, not just if it's a C chord or an A minor. Its structure really matters. All right, so let's open these up. Let's keep some voice leading here. And let's bring some low notes in too. So I'm just going to be trying to optimize this and add some notes in and see what we get. Let's do the lows here first. So of course we want some low, and we want for the bass. And we're just going to write in. So I don't want them obviously too close. That's a bit iffy, but let's hear what it sounds. Yeah, too close. And I'm going to take this up. And you see how having this set up for a chord track, how quickly, because if these helpers weren't on, then you'd be wondering, okay, is that in the chord? Is that in the scale? And, you know, so unless you just know all that off by hand, this is very helpful. Now, I would say that this first chord is looking really good. And let's try in for a full, rich chord all the way up into C5, which we might just do a pedal note later, but yeah. So our first note should be sounding really full and really nice. If I can drag it up even more here. So we've added plenty of notes. It's still in the right scale of our idea, but it's now these notes will be playing the violin, they'll be playing the viola, they'll be playing the cello and the bass, and they have room to breathe. So let's hear it. Now we want to do the same thing with the other chords. So what we can do is just work quickly. We can hit the Alt key and drag these over, and we don't want them to be too, like, you don't want to have the voice leading all the notes, so it's basically just going, you want to have enough changed notes so that you're getting variety. You're not just, you know, the same chord to the next chord with barely any change. So I like to have as much variance as possible without it destroying your idea. So these are up there. I might just take that and move that up there and add, and I might take that up there. Just working really quick. We got notes, and down low there should be enough room. That could be, I think, done better. Now, of course, they don't all have to be perfect in the chord notes. They can be in the scale. So here's where you could spend an hour just messing around. But I'm thinking I'm going to move that up there. A little bit of muddiness. So we might add a little flavor there. Let's listen now. You know, that's a very more distinct and interesting chord. But if we're going to play it super safe here, I might just go there. Okay, that's safer. So now we've got these huge chords, and we're using all the dynamic range of our chosen VST instrument, right? So we're getting way more out of this. And we can do the same thing. So we can just copy these chords down here. Get some basic chords down there. Now we don't want them all on C. In fact, although it was sounding good there, we might do that. I don't know if we want all those together there, but we definitely probably want that up an octave or two. So that will probably work. And let's bring that up and drag. I'm thinking that's giving us wide, and we're picking up all the instruments. And let's just listen. That's kind of nice for just a quick sketch here. So let's keep going. Let's add more notes. Drag these and copy some notes up there. These are a bit close, or they're closed right now. So I would probably take that and move it and copy this and move that down, and maybe even another one there, so they're nice and open down there, and take that up. So we're still at B5, not in, normally maybe the C6 register would be for like piccolo flute and whatnot. So I'm thinking that's a nice big thick chord that's going to reach what we need it to reach. Let's listen. Yeah, I would say that's not needed up there. It's just a very high harmonic that isn't necessarily needed. And if we wanted to do something interesting in the super high harmonics, we might do just a pedal situation. And we may just walk it once, meaning just a pedal note is when it just, you have a single note, either high or low, that basically plays the same note through, and it's not paying attention to the chord changes. It's pedaling its way through, but you may want to walk it at a certain point, meaning walk it up or down. Now we might have an interesting, very high harmonic. So you have that option now. You could say, no, I like that high harmonic for the bridge or for a chorus or verse, or you can just get rid of it and go back. All right, so this video has been going on for a bit, so those are some of the ideas to keep in mind when you do drag in a progression from wherever. It's more than likely, almost always, not going to be perfect for your project, your idea of what instruments you want to use and how you want it to sound. So you can use some of these techniques to help you to make it that initial chord or progression idea and maximize it with notes for a symphony or just for a single instrument. And just to play us out, I'm going to turn on a little violin for a lead, and let's see what we get. So those were different chords, but you get the idea when you optimize the instrument. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're able to make music wherever you're at in this world today. And we'll catch you on the next one.